Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share the video, let everyone know we're here. And you know what? This guy showed up. I can't believe it.
I showed up. Oh my God. What's up, Streamland? I'm sorry. Wrong show. What up, brother? What's doing, kid?
I'm good, man. How you been?
Man, ups and downs, baby. Life gets in the way, right?
All right, I got you. Listen, and tonight is one of those nights where it's a little special. So I brought Jay on because he's the usual co-host, and so just to bring him back special. But there are no real co-hosts tonight because I'm just gonna sit back tonight and not ask any questions. That's all their job. So
you're lazy. You're so lazy.
Let me tell you, bro. Listen, I didn't even put on pants today. That's how bad it got.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Stand up.
Oh. Wait, PJ.
You got the jammies on. Okay.
That's the official work uniform at Mr. Fish Comics. Like you got to get hired here. You got to be wearing
there
the
you
PJs.
go. Okay.
Wear PJs.
That's the best part of working for yourself, man.
That's it. So, Mr. Fish, please introduce yourself.
I am Mr. Fish of Mr. Fish Comics, fastest working man in indie comics. I just wrapped up my, what is it now? 120th book, I think. I got to go back and double check. And I just topped 7 years. So, nice. Yeah, that's not bad. I've been cranking out a lot of books. I actually feel bad because I've only put out like 10 books this year. And I did 23 last year. But I've also run more Kickstarters this year. So, yeah.
How many?
4, I think, if I'm counting right. And that takes a lot out of me, man. That takes a lot out of me.
Yeah. I know how that feels, sir. Mr. Hutchison, long time no see, sir.
Dee Rosario showing up today like Shadur Sanders, coming in strong.
Putting Cleveland on my shoulders. Okay, That's right.
I had them in my parlay. I knew they were going to take down that weak ass team on the West Coast.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah. Well, I've been out of football. The Jets are.
The Jets are the Jets.
But there's always the teams that you love to see lose anyway. And for me, it's the Raiders, and they lost to the Browns, and it's a good day.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Okay.
We got to bring a little extra to the show for you, JD.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate. I don't know if I should have. I don't know if I do appreciate that, but whatever. Mr. Marcus, long time no see. How you been?
Please
introduce yourself.
Long time no see. Marcus McNeal, editor-in-chief at Odyssey Comics. And JD, I'm a little bit disappointed because when you stood up, I was expecting some full-on Winnie the Pooh going on, and that was not the case.
So dirty. Dirty, Marcus.
Probably could have got a few more followers,
I'm saying.
Just let it hang out.
That's it. But I was like, we'll just leave it with the regular PJs. Thank you.
Yeah.
But of course, always good to be back with you boys and looking forward to an awesome show today. Good group we got.
Okay, cool. Randy?
Hey, I was screaming, "Don't stand up! Don't stand up!" Nobody wants to see that. Hey, everybody, Randy Zimmerman here, Arrow Comics. Current gig is writing a book called The Atlantean that Russ Leach is illustrating. Having a blast. Haven't kicked out as many books as Mr. Fish, but they are 50-page graphic novels. And
nice.
We're on.
Well, there you go.
Russ is currently working on the art for number 4, so it's all good.
Right, cool.
Coming along.
All right. How you doing, Chris? Please introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going? Chris Brimmage. I'm the author of the Multiverse of Skew trilogy, which is a comedic science fiction series, and Mandrill PI, which is a hard-boiled detective series set in a cartoon world.
All right, cool. All right, gentlemen. So who wants to go first?
I got it. I'm here. I'm prepped, baby.
Hey, look, it's been weeks, so why not?
Yes.
Sometimes I think it's worse when JD preps.
Yes. This is a fun one.
So wait, hold on. So all right. So we're just, like I said, we've been waiting for weeks for this. So Marcus, please go first.
Son of a mother.
I'm only joking. Jay.
Hey, steal my shine like that. All right. They always say comic books are dying, right? But comic books have survived the 8-track, the cassette tape, the CD, the iPod, Saturday morning cartoons, WHT, Cinemax, HBO streaming service, wrestling streaming services. Did I say the iPod? I said the iPod, right? Laserdisc, Suncoast, Sears, multiple marriages.
It's the longest death spiral in the
Right?
history of
So-
all media.
In
Longer than
your
Blockbuster.
in your view, in your perspective, in your hopes, what do you think comic books would outlast next?
Oh, mercy.
It's interesting. All right. Well, let's. We're gonna start it off as a normal show. Chris, you're in the hot seat. Sorry.
All right. I mean,
It's like-
it's. Am I just picking a random thing that I think won't last very long?
Why not? And it could be anything. You know, you could say Guillermo Toro's career after the Frankenstein movie. You can, I mean, whatever you want, dude. You can go with it. You know, just let's have fun. We're here.
Yeah, I mean it's an art form that's been around for since people carved images on wood blocks. So I mean I think it'll be around like long after whatever we see as like the current comics industry with like ink and paper on that are stapled together. I think it can last forever. So I guess I'll say this decade. Sure. That'll be my answer.
That works. That works.
That's
That works.
fair. Tom. So what are your thoughts? What do you think comics are gonna last?
I mean, the basically they'll outlast everything because nothing can stop it, right? They may not last in the context that we understand, like the paper floppy going to a comic book store and so on. But even if like comic shops were to close down, the internet is filled with comics that have never been in the comic book store anyway, webtoons and things like that. So the format might alter, change, disappear in the way that we understand it, but it will always find another way to exist. So I think it'll outlast, I don't know, everything. Like it'll
Give
take
me something. Come
it'll-
on.
it is. I'm telling you this. It's eternal. Okay, Jay.
Yeah,
It's
but this
eternal.
is- hold on.
So
This
the
is
only
Tom
way
hates
I'm going to
everything.
tell you. I'm
Give
going
me
to tell you.
something that's gonna fucking die, Tom. Go for
I'm
it.
about to. I'm about to. Be careful. The only way to kill comics is the button. The big button.
The big button.
The
one
big
that's
button.
locked
That's it.
behind keys and codes.
Because as long as people are around, like Chris just said, right, writing on the walls and stuff, as long as people are around, comics will exist in some format. That's it. So unless the cockroaches are going to do it, that's it. They'll outlast people, and then maybe the cockroaches will, figure out how to do it for themselves. Who knows? Maybe they're already doing it, and we don't know. But I don't see how
It'll
the comic
finally
book
free up time on the
format.
presses for them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're going to die. I'm saying what's going to die next. I gave a ton of examples. The iPod, Saturday morning cartoons, Mr. T cereal. Fucking pick something. Honey Smacks. I don't fucking care, bro. Fucking pick something.
But I got a good answer for that one.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Comics will outlast streaming media.
Okay. Okay.
We're already starting to see the sort of, not a sort of death knell, but the contraction of streaming media. Naturally, there's a bunch of stuff out there and everything like that, but think about where we were at the time when, say, Netflix was in the heyday and they're throwing billions and billions of dollars at producing what was for a time high quality programming on streaming services. And now where we are at this point, where a lot of these services from HBO to Netflix is just regurgitated reality TV because it's economical to produce and people watch it in droves. How many murder mysteries can you put on a platform at one point in time before it collapses in on itself like a black hole? Just with the nature of that, the economy, where everything is going, streaming media, at least in the vein that we know it right now, will collapse before comic books.
Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. Good call. Good call.
But yeah, it's just like everybody. I was initially going to say the same thing. I imagine we've done this so many times when we were doing cave drawings, and then once that went to the wayside and we were able to make paper, somebody came and told the cave drawing guy, "You're not going to be doing drawings anymore. That's dead now." And then when we, did the wood press, they went and told that guy who was doing stuff on paper, "You're not going to be doing that anymore. That's going to be going away. It's over with." And then when the printing press was in it, they probably did it when they went from hieroglyphics to cuneiform. So they kept banging away on the wall. You're not going to be doing that stuff anymore. And it always comes back to a different sort of way. That's what even people remember. The first Bibles were comic books. They were, since most people were illiterate, they were literally pictures that artists were making with some things and words and Bible verses and things like that they could understand. And it was effectively a comic. And both Japanese and Chinese culture, they had comic books before they had like normal literature. Big wall scrolls with images and characters and for words in the story. Like they weren't called what we do now, the thing is formed. I think the first original comic was like the Yellow Kid or something back in like 19 whatever the fuck. But
it's
like
first IP, yeah.
But like the combination of written language and artwork has existed for basically the entirety of human civilization. So like Tom said, until we go away, that form is always gonna last. But like, yeah, I think
I get that.
Streaming media is going to be the thing that will tail off before we'll see comic books going.
Okay. Cool. Randy, what are your thoughts?
I'd say, speaking of streaming media, comics will definitely last longer than Hulu.
Yeah, that's my man right there. All right, there we go. Give me a brand that's gonna fucking die off.
Like the cool thing. Well, let's go. They're dead at probably the end of the year anyway, but that's a whole nother story. The cool thing about comics is a combination of words and pictures, just like Marcus said, goes back to the dawn of time or the dawn of anybody being able to scratch on a wall. It's just now that they're starting to take a look at all of those cave scratchings and going, maybe none of that was fiction. That's pretty odd. But anyway, you'll always see comics out there in one form or another, and you'll always see physical copies of comics out there and available for, I think, many generations to come. It won't be the same format, but there's still something about that physicality of holding, especially a work of art, that just doesn't go away, and it's a lot more than a computer screen. And who knows how long those computer screens are gonna, stay around. All you need is one good jolt from the sun and they're all gone too. So.
Oh, don't remind me. Something jolted mine, and I lost a year's worth of work this week.
I hear you. We got real close this last week, so yeah, could have been a lot worse.
That's scary.
All right, Mr. Fish, what are your thoughts?
I think it's going to outlast. I don't know how else to say it, but like podcasts, like everybody streaming their thoughts into the world, including like TikTok and stuff. I think it's a fad that's going to pass. I could be wrong. We could still be doing this in 200 years, but I think it's a thing that's going to pass away long before comics as a medium does.
All right, that's cool. Maybe not us, but
Yes, just
I hope not. I do it too. Like
I'm only living to be 110. Come on. Yeah.
Something that comics is gonna outlast Marvel and DC. Marvel comics will outlast Marvel and DC. There you
go. Okay. All right.
He says with no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, the thing is we already know the death knell is in for those companies, right?
Oh, wow.
As their IPs age out, we know Superman's coming up to public domain. within what, the next 2 or 3 years?
6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yep.
Within what's going to come in public, I mean, like, we're not going to be around for it, or most of us won't be around for it. Some of us will be here, some of us won't. But within 30 years, what's going to go fall into public domain? Flash, Batman, Green,
Everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And then eventually that'll happen to Marvel, and eventually, and it's going to continue to happen to DC. And here's the thing: most of the creators, all the smart ones, are not creating anything for them anymore. They're creating variations on a similar theme, right? Captain Whodunit, whatever, Captain Superman, or you got Catman and Batman and whatever type of iteration you can squeeze out of Batman or Superman or whatever, but that's it. Nobody's creating anything new, right? Yeah. So eventually those IPs are going to be dead because they're going to fall into public domain. It doesn't even matter if they own the trademarks, because so many people are going to be able to play with those things. It's not even funny. And you're eventually going to hit on a group of creators that are going to do those pieces better than Marvel and DC. You understand? They're going to have better writers. You're going to have occasionally a better artist that are going to be able to do those books better than them, because those people who are truly creative, who truly had that talent, they're not going to pay them that type of money to come work for them. They're just not. They've already shown they don't want to do it now. So there you go.
Next 10 years are going to be real interesting when it comes to public domain law. So
right.
Can't wait to see some definitive rulings out there.
I have a feeling it will side with whoever has the most billions to put towards it.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Disney's moved the field goal so many times already. They're going to keep trying.
Yep.
Well, I think you're seeing them going through now and systematically renewing things. There's like, 50, 60 different versions of the bat signal. So they're trying to go through and cover their ass as much as possible. And anything that could look remotely, protective of their IP, that's what they're doing. That's why the Superman logo shifted again, or Guns Love for Kingdom Come or something. But that's all trademarkable and copyrightable stuff that they'll be protecting their characters for as long as possible. That's why the next 10 years are going to be real interesting in litigation. Let's see what's defined as public domain and what's defined as a protected IP. Right.
Yeah. There you go, Jay. Right back at you. What do you feel is gonna?
Well, I'm surprised nobody said that comic books had survived since the beginning of time with cave paintings. Nobody said that at all. That should have been brought up at least once.
Marcus said that.
Upset. Everybody fucking said that, bro. Come on. Yeah. All right. I wanted to have fun with this. I thought the examples would have came up with, maybe somebody would have said the Snyderverse. Maybe somebody would have said James Gunn's career. Maybe somebody would have said the MCU instead of just Marvel and DC Comics.
If you wanted to have fun, Jay, why the fuck did you invite all of us?
There you go. Yeah.
To turn for like some younger, less jaded people.
Fish, stop being a mama out. That's all I'm saying. Because he pointed at you. I'm sorry.
I went this way. I know which way I'm going. I think they're gonna outlast Funko Pops. It's right there. It's right there. That's the lowest hanging fruit. They're gonna outlive the Beanie Baby. They're definitely gonna outlive Funko Pops.
Well, what is that saying though, James? I got outlasted Funko Pops. That doesn't mean.
Dude, it's like there's always something that's coming up, right? And Funko Pops like touch the cultural zeitgeist, right?
Just like Beanie Babies,
right? Just like Beanie Babies, but Beanie Babies didn't keep comic shops afloat the way Funko Pops did, right? How many shops do you guys know of that converted from back issues to secondary market Funko Pops? I know of at least 3 of them.
Don't worry, they'll be stocked with Labubu's soon. So. That's what comics will outlast Labubu.
Now you say
they already have Labubus. They're called blind bags.
Now you say,
yeah, but I mean that comment is worth as much as me farting into the microphone. But
they're farting into the microphone. Look, I'm at a point I need to have fun. Let's have some fucking levity out here. That's why I popped in with that question. But that's where I'm going. I'm saying they're gonna outlast Funko Pops.
Tom, please ask the next question and make it as dour and depressing as you can.
So when comics are dead and your career is dead and everybody's dead,
We're all dead.
Yeah.
Everybody's dead.
We're all smoking crack in the basement of
We all die at the same time because we're the only ones buying comics.
Oh, you know what? Can I add a little bit of restructuring since Tom's before Tom asks the next question? It's usually Calderon asking, and then he is either the last or the second to answer the second to last answer the question. Yeah. Why not every question that pops up tonight? He's on the hot seat for the first response. Let's do that.
I have no problem with that. Okay. None. I'll take all the shots.
Fire that motherfucker up. Let's go, Tom.
So, right. Sorry, whoever has something prepared, I don't know.
Yeah. So, so I write a lot of different stuff. I know some of us here also write a lot of different stuff or create a lot of different stuff, whatever you want to call it. I'm curious if there's ever been something in your creative mindscape that you thought about and you were like, that would be really cool. I think that would be really interesting. I think that would be really fun, but I don't think that the audience would get it, or I don't think that maybe the content of it, maybe it's too controversial for me to put it out. Like, is there anything that you've sort of had in mind that you were like, yes, but no, and you put it away for whatever reason?
Okay. So since I'm going first, yes, there was several projects. One specifically was one before I came up with Magi's Grace. I was going to do another project with C. Michael Lanning, called shit. Now I'm blanking on the title.
That's a hell of a title.
Yeah, I know it is, right? But what happened was I had just finished Oswald probably 8 months prior, right? And I started working on this other project, and it just was becoming this next big, massive project, right? Like it was becoming another epic thing, like something that wasn't going to be 4 issues or 6 issues. It was going to be another 30, 40, 50. God knows how many other issues it's going to take me to resolve it. And I was just like, nah, I'm good. I folded that one up and I set it to the side. I said, I just finished one of these. I don't have another 30 years to be spending on another one. So I folded that one up. I put it away. I kissed it and I said, I'm sorry. And I said, we'll talk later, maybe. But yeah, that was definitely something I had to do. And then I came with Magi's Grace, which was more, I focused on something a little bit more episodic, right? Where I felt like it would be more of an ongoing adventure, less of a massive overarch story. It's just these two people doing this job, and it's just like they're going through their day-to-day adventures, that sort of thing. So I was just like, let me just do this. And I felt that works. That's been working for me a little bit better. So there you go. All right. So I did do Marcus. I guess you would be nice.
Okay. This is an because I'm still bubbling. It might be something I might pick up down the road. But it was a story called Vampires C Word. Vampire. Yeah.
Collage? College?
On the water?
Condominium.
Condominium. There you go.
Oh, C Word. Oh,
yes.
C Word.
Oh, okay.
Sailing vampires.
Like,
like vampires on the open seas.
Vampires on the open
whole
sea.
thing was a satirical take on like vampires and vampire culture of just being like petty bitches. And it was almost like the Real Housewives, but like following vampires. And but like the way I was going for it was just like so kind of weird and like heavy that I don't think like people would have been quite ready for it at that point. So I don't know what to make of it or like what it is. I think once you go into like something like you do stuff like vampires, werewolves, and stuff like
you couldn't have just changed the name to be the Real Vampires of Southern California or whatever.
There you go.
I mean, so the name is one of the things I like, and I'm probably going to like continue this name. It's just like the style of book it, because it's not like a parody or like a film crew or something like that. It's very much like almost a slice of life comic following vampires doing like the most mundane and sort of like catty bullshit without a whole lot of like vampire stuff interjected into it. Really just like playing off like the typical tropes of like the power dynamics between like vampire lords and all their underlings and the other people that they compete with within vampire society and everything like that. So it was almost like fucking some sort of BBC drama, but just like with vampires essentially, but like really, really sardonic, and then of course like gruesomely bloody and graphic at times too. Just like
which BBC,
really going for a full thing.
Which BBC,
it was going to feature both.
The broadcasting company. Broadcasting.
That too. It's going to be full, not safe for work and everything.
Were the vampires going to sparkle?
No, they were not going to sparkle.
Twinkle.
Well, I'm not
but
yeah,
it's something that maybe I think when I build the audience for it, I'll go back and do it. I think it's something that I'll just like take so much time of my time and energy and like creative energy that I got to be in a really particular place to get that book out more. So I think the audience is there for it 100% right now. I know exactly where they live at on the internet too, the delivery rates.
Both of them.
But like me personally, I can't go for it right now.
Yeah. All right, cool. Randy, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know me, I have a bucket list of stuff to get to, but one of those things I've been putting off forever since I was doing a little local comic newspaper is a real hardcore underground book. I'll get around to it eventually. So I did one many years ago that was pretty well received, and I've always wanted to do more with those characters that the wife keeps reminding me, especially when I was doing that paper. If you do that and you release it, everybody's going to know it was you. So, you better get ready to take the heat. Like, well, okay, I'll put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
It's still sitting there.
All right.
I got about half a dozen other things that have to get done first. So.
All right. Mr. Fish.
Man, there's so many things that I haven't done for one reason or another. Like, I mean, sometimes it's just like not the right time to start that story. Like JD said, sometimes it's just too big a story to want to jump into next. Sometimes I put off my Alice Lost in Wonderland series, and it wasn't Alice Lost in Wonderland at the time yet. It hadn't evolved into that, but at the time I wanted to start it, I was thinking about doing it. There were a bunch of stories that came out from a bunch of different publishers at that time that had like white-haired kids in it and time travelers and dimension hopping and stuff. And I didn't want this story I've been working on for 30 years to seem like I was jumping on a trend or I was ripping off all these other ideas that were popping out at the time. Mm-hmm. So I decided to wait, and I launched Green Zone instead. And now it's coming out as a whole different thing now than it would have been then. But like Green Zone, I decided to pivot and focus mostly on Alice going forward, just because Green Zone is a harder pitch at cons because it's about mutant cops. And as soon as I say cops, a lot of people's eyes glaze over, and whatever side of the argument you may feel about cops, they assume I'm on the other side for whatever reason, and they shut down and they're not listening anymore. Like, I've had to retune my pitch to come at it from a different way and kind of slip that part in to not get people to shut down listening to the pitch, because whatever you think about cops, that's not what this book's about. Like, the book's about what's it like to grow up in a world where, everything's stacked against you and you can't succeed, and, everybody's just waiting for you to fail and prove that you're wrong. But it's gotten to be a harder sell at cons now with the political environment. So time to pivot and focus on something that is an easier sell. And then there's other things that sometimes I want to do that either I think are going to be too hard of a sell, not have a big enough audience to make it worth the hassle to put in doing it. Because I already know what it's like to sell to a few people. I would like to find something that sells to more people, not narrow that down to a smaller base. Or like sometimes something that's just like, I was thinking of a story just yesterday that hit me, and I was like, hell no. In this environment right now, I'd start getting death threats from everywhere. Like, I could deal with a bunch of idiots on the internet saying they're going to like kill me, but my wife could not handle that. She does not have the temperament to deal with that. So that story got shelved. I may let somebody else publish it under a pen name or something someday, but I'm not doing it.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario.
Yeah. So in my zombie anthology, New York versus the World, I had written an issue where a businesswoman is escaping her attacker, who she beat the hell out of him, and he's almost looking like a zombie who's chasing her as she's trying to escape the office building. And then you're running into regular zombie tropes. But as I was writing it, I was like, oh my God, this woman's escaping a high-rise office building in New York City on day one of the zombie apocalypse. And it was reminding me too much of the events of what happened here on September 11th. So I just decided to shelve that story. I know it's been 24 years, but it's still sensitive out here, at least in New York. So that's not a story I'm gonna tell. I don't even know how to revise it, So
Cool. Chris, you're up.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that I've shelved have mostly had to do with time and having the the day job that cuts into the ability to just write all day long. I'd say the ones that I've shelved the farthest back that might fit into this category. One of them, it's hard to tell if I shelved it because it might be like offensive to certain people or if it's just a really bad idea. Probably the latter. So about a decade and a half ago, maybe a little less than that, I got ordained to be the officiant for a couple of my buddies are getting married. And when I went on the universalministries.com, I found this little tab where I could be named a saint. And I got a card that, I'm a card carrying saint. If you want to know who I intervene on the behalf of, it's fat guys in Hawaiian shirts. So happy to help out anybody there intervene. But like, it just hit me, like, what if I actually got saint powers whenever I paid this $10 to get this saint card? And then it rolled from there into this like ridiculous comedic storyline about what would happen if that type of thing happened. And ultimately it was one of those things where, it's probably more the fact that it's like a one joke pony than it is a completely offensive storyline. But, there it is. So
I don't think it's a one joke pony. I would buy that book, Chris.
Mm-hmm. All right,
you sold me, dude. Let's go, bro. All right.
I like to annoy my wife and bless things whenever we go places. I did it way more when we first started dating, and then the joke got old even for me. So
I get so many church jokes.
And I think he owns a couple of Hawaiian shirts. So
I own a few. Oh man, I loved Hula Hula on Plastic Man. I did not know how racially insensitive he was. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
All right, cool. Tom, ask your own question, brother.
So I asked that for a specific question, and I love Chris's story because it all ties together with kind of where I was going with this and my point. And then the fact that Jay loved that pitch, it all works. This is great. So for me, I've never really put things aside because of content or potential offensive stuff. Everything for me has really kind of been sort of Tetrised around based on what I want to do at a given time. Do I have enough information to make the book? I'm not ready to make it because I need more research, whatever. But the reason I asked is because coming to like the idea of like offending people, my first comic book that I ever released was Penny for Your Soul, basically about a demon who sets up shop in Las Vegas offers to buy her patron souls for $10,000 and basically stealing souls away from heaven and hell, who then come looking, and, that kicks the whole thing off. And, in my book, Jesus starts off as a televangelist in Las Vegas, right? And I'm sitting here in my brain going like, this is super fun. I'm just putting it out there. But I was really prepared for like a lot of pushback. I was like a lot of like, what the hell are you doing? You can't do this in this kind of a book. Like I was ready for it. But what happened was I really didn't get it. A little bit. I got a couple of little like, I don't know, man, but I never really got like a screw you, buddy kind of response for it. So it kind of told me that I wasn't even really as close to the line as I thought I was. So, and the point of me asking the question and telling you people this is you might not be as close to the line as you think you are in terms of this kind of stuff. So like, Chris, that's a fantastic freaking thing. Go somewhere, buy a sainthood card and get powers. Like, fuck yes. That's an endless series of stories that you could tell. And it doesn't even have to be the same person, right? You could just be like, this guy gets it. This girl gets it. That dude gets it. Different countries, like that's a forever. Like you could do that every year, like on Easter. Like I'm buying a sainthood card on Easter, and you get powers. Like endless. And I don't think you would find that people would be as offended as maybe you think it is. So for anyone that's creating something that you think might be too over the top, probably not. Maybe for specific, hyper specific people. But as far as like the general public, the general audience, chances are you're going to be okay. So if you want to do it, I would just say, do it.
Go for it. Hell yeah. What was that show on CBS a few years ago with John Ritter's son, where he would get emails from Jesus to go save people?
Yeah.
Come on, if that shit made TV, let's fucking go, bro. We're not pushing the envelope at all, bro. Yeah. Get a sainthood online for $10. I'm a thrift store shopper.
Yeah.
So
and you just make up all the rules, right? It's like Mogwai. You just make up the rules as you go. Like you get 24 hours. You only get 3 wishes with the powers, whatever it is. Like just, it would be amazing.
Go for it, man. Like, look what Daphne said in the comments.
You get more powerful the more people like believe in you and buy your trinkets and wear your medallion or whatever.
But she said, you could be the saint of turning water. No, excuse me, saint of the miracle of turning water into Mountain Dew. Let's go, baby. Have all these motherfuckers up on sugar. Let's do it. Let's do it. Natural cane sugar, right? Natural. That's what Mountain Dew was.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous if it wasn't natural cane sugar.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it could be cool if you got enough followers or something. You might like even evolve up into like the saint of pineapple on pizza or something. Like be able to expand the more believers you got.
Put the brakes on that. I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying, bro? So, take it down.
I ain't saying I like it. I'm just saying you could get it. I mean,
I don't know if that's necessarily a level up.
With the pineapple on pizza, that's a good. That's a story. That's a story.
That's why I like it as a story, because I would hate it so much, but to have that thrust upon me would be, incredibly irritating.
Marvel Comics had a series, The Exiles. I don't know if you guys ever remember that, right? The time hopping dimensional, right? Sliders, but for mutants, right? And one issue was just they saved the world because they bought a fucking jelly donut and they stopped somebody from going in or whatever. So if they could fucking do a whole comic book off of a jelly donut, Fish, they could do one off of pineapple on or off of pizza. Fucking lean into it. Know what you are and lean into it as hard as you can. Push the envelope, Chris. I'm buying it.
Yeah. Or maybe you become the patron saint of pineapple pizza and you find out that God is really opposed to pineapple pizza, so he just doesn't listen to the patron saint of pineapple.
That's where the drama comes in, because the sainthood gets revoked, but then they can't get the refund from online. Bro, this shit fucking writes itself, baby.
But you know what didn't write itself? What? Mandrill PI. That's what didn't write itself. And Chris wrote that one. Chris, do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thanks so much. So this is Mandrill PI. This is issues 1 through 8. So we're in the second story arc in which Mandrill PI embarks on a cruise ship because he's heard there's missing children there. And while on this cruise ship, he runs into the mysterious luchador, El Coto Jefe Jaguar. And luchador mayhem ensues. They go on an adventure together. And I don't want to spoil too much, but they uncover a conspiracy in the sea. And as you scroll down there, I always include previews from previous issues. So the first 7 issues, you get 3 pages each on there on the page. So you can feel free to just keep scrolling till we get a little lower, and then it'll go into some of the rewards here. But one of the things I like to say usually about Mandrill PI is it's kind of my love letter to 80s and 90s cartoons and hard-boiled detective fiction. There's also a little bit more to it than that. It's a way that I explored the grief that I had over my parents' deaths through the character arc of Manny Mandrill, who throughout the course of the comics and novels is going through a lot of grief over losing his wife. He starts down in the dumps, and then over the course of the entire series, kind of it's a redemption arc as he learns to control himself and learns to come to term with that grief. We've got a couple of really cool covers for this issue. One of those covers is by that one on screen right there is by Jake Smith. If you have not read Robo-Wolf, it is a phenomenal comic by Jake. It's hilarious. It's like everything you could ask for in an 80s like action movie parody, and he was gracious enough to do this cover for me, which there's so much like so many tiny details in there that are just awesome. And then the other cover that we've got here is by Dave Law. If you scroll up, if anybody here is a fan of Dungeon Crawler Carl, Dave Law did the album covers for the Sound Booth Theater production of that, and so it was awesome to get him to come on board and do a cover for us for Mandrill PI. Additionally, we've got some other cool rewards, like there is a new minifig of our resident luchador, El Coto, and then in addition to that, there's the chance to get a short story written where I'll get a professional editor to edit it, and then to get a professional cover made for it. So we would align on what that story arc would be, and then we'd get a mystery written. And then finally, there's also a T-shirt in there. I'm wearing it right now, actually, and it's a pretty fun design. So it's the Dave Law cover design. But overall, this is a super fun comic to write, and just super excited to get this next one out there.
Nice.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. So this is 7 through which arc? So how many issues into this arc is this?
This is the second issue in the second arc. So this second arc will be 4 issues long. And I just saw a question in the chat about is this all ages? I'd say it's probably teen plus. There's cursing and violence. So I guess it depends on what you're comfortable with kids reading. So
yeah, but it's a fun book though, because I read the first 6 issues. It's a lot of fun. Enjoyed it.
Thanks.
So yeah. Good book. So I mean, what type of? All right. So obviously this is coming out now. What's the frequency that you're looking at for the next 2 issues?
Well, Carlos just sent me the last 8 pages of issue 9, and then we're gonna have to get the cover done there. And then I've got some variant covers starting on issue 9 as well. So I'd say once I get this one fulfilled, probably like right at the beginning of 2026, issue 9 will be. I'll do the Kickstarter probably late January, early February. Gotcha.
It's funny. For half a second, I was like, "What? Why so late?" And I was like, "Wait a second, we're in November."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost over. Gotcha. Listen, man. I mean, Chris, as usual, great book. You're killing it. You got another 20 days. You're already funded, so you're good, man. Very nice.
Yeah, we just hit funding goal today, so super excited about that.
All right, cool. Hopefully, we'll get you a few more folks in it. So go and pick up some Mandrill PI. Very nice. All righty. Now, yo, Jay, you're still not saying anything, bro.
I'm here. I'm just. I'm here.
I know. Again, you're lost, just like Alice, right? So, Fish, what are we looking at here? Are we? Do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Cool. Very nice. So is this campaign done and you're into
we're in late pledges.
Okay.
Yeah, late pledges are going to be open for like the next week, and once I start shipping everything out, late pledges are going to be closed. So this is your last chance to get in if you want to get issues 1 through 3 or issue 3 if you've got the first 2 of Alice Lost in Wonderland. Alice is a bounty hunter lost in an interdimensional rift of Wonderland, where all the crazy characters from all the public domain stories are aliens and robots and ghosts from other dimensions. And she and the Tin Man get bound by a magical contract to hunt down her adopted dad, the time-traveling White Rabbit, the guy who tried to save her life, couldn't figure out how to get her home, did his best to raise her, didn't do a really good job, and now she is hunting him down. Lots of action, lots of time travel nonsense. There's dinosaurs chasing sky bikes through toxic clouds that'll melt the flesh from your bones. There's freaking all kinds of awesome stuff in this. That's Alice and Captain Hook there on that variant cover. We find out more about their past and why Hook wants Alice dead and how much Alice is risking just getting in there. But, you know, she's trying to find any lead she can to get on the trail of the White Rabbit, and she's hoping, you know, a confrontation with Captain Hook will get her some information. And it's a really good book. I am super excited about it. Like I said, I've been working on this story for 30 years, and it has really evolved into this deep, rich story. And I brought my buddy T.S. Luther on, and he's been writing the scripts for the last 2 issues. And he's brought so much to the story. It's amazing. He brings such emotionality to it. And man, some of the scenes I've had to do like really hurt my feelings. Like it really made me tear up drawing this stuff. It's really good. I'm really proud of it. But there's just a couple of days left to get in on it. But yeah, you can go back it now at gomrfish.com.
There you go. Very nice. So what is it? The 30 millimeter figures. You're just selling the files, or are you actually printing them or doing?
Oh, I've got physical figures if you want to back for those tiers, and I'll ship them out. Or you can get them with the digital tiers, and you know, print them up yourself too. And the digital tiers also come with things like audio versions of the book. I'm editing the last of the audio files right now for the first 3 issues. So it's like an old-fashioned read-along, you know? So, because I realized on the last campaign, I've got a lot of friends and followers and stuff that are dyslexic. And I got one fan that buys absolutely everything that I put out. And he was telling me how excited he was. Like, man, I've looked at Alice like 10 times. I haven't read it yet, but I've looked at it a lot. And I was like, dude, if I can do something to make that easier for you to be able to follow along in the book, why wouldn't I? I got one of my friends that's really bad vision, legally blind, and has to hold the comic books like right up to her nose. I'm like, if this can make it easier for her to follow along, yeah, absolutely. Make it easy.
Cool. Very nice. Now this is issue 3. When are you looking at issue 4 coming out?
I was hoping issue 4 would be on Kickstarter right now, but we had a bunch of stuff come up, and my kids lost a grandpa, and all kinds of traveling and stuff came up all of a sudden. So it got me a little bit behind schedule, and I didn't want to run one in December because everybody's broke already and Christmas is tight. I'm not asking you to support a book right then. So I'm decided to put issue 4 off until February. And so I'll be launching that in February. And 5 and 6 should be coming really closely after that. They'll be out next year, and that'll be the end of the first arc of her chasing down her dad.
Very nice. All right, cool. I mean, listen, you've already funded, so now you're just into the late pledges. So everybody, last chance, go get some books.
So my question is, when does the Johnny Quest style cartoon come out?
There you go.
Man, I got some new software recently that makes that even easier to do than that was, because that took me like 15 days. This new stuff makes it way easier to do, and lets me like rig up figures with skeletons and stuff that I can. Oh man, I'm really anxious to get cracking on the other one, but I got to get client books out, and I got to get this out, and I got to print the mini comics and stuff, because the mini comics are a whole separate storyline that's following Alice on a little adventure when she's a kid. So we get to see more of the world and how much the world has changed since she was a kid. And another thing with the digital tiers now, you can get the mini comics in digital form, which I haven't offered before until now because I didn't think about it. And so now, like, if you want to back digitally, you can get those backup tiers and get like the whole little mini comic story that's going on and see just how much things have changed. And like, if you don't get them, it's still a great book, but they've got lots of little juicy bits in there, so that like when you're reading that and then you read this, it's like, oh my God. And there's, not to give too much away, but there's lots of little hidden secrets and puzzles in there. Lori Calcaterra ruined me. We got to talking about like fan engagement and stuff and the things that she does to get people involved and putting puzzles and stuff in the books. And so now there's all kinds of little secret things hidden away in the book. And if you're really paying attention to it, you can find your way to like secret unlisted YouTube videos and stuff that have secret messages in them and all kinds of cool stuff, you know. But you can also just enjoy the book. But if you're the kind of guy like me that like, when you get to the end of the game and you finally got like that rocket launcher that destroys the metal walls, you go all the way back to level 1 to bust that shiny metal wall that you saw in that corner to get all the little doodads and all the Riddler trophies, then you're going to enjoy all the little extra stuff that you can find. There's like secret messages and alien writing and all kinds of cool stuff in there.
All right, very nice. Cool. Looking forward to it. Very nice. Great looking stuff. As always, Mr. Fish. All right. So next up. All right. What do we got here? We got a curse. All right. Marcus, what are we looking at?
I don't have a campaign for once because I just literally wrapped up 2 of them last week. But we did get the direct market version of Iberian Curse of the Crown. That's been a big one for us on Kickstarter over the last couple of years. This is volume 1 that collects the first 2 chapters of the Iberians' dark fantasy saga together into one full graphic novel. So hopefully, if this one responds good, it's now up for purchase on Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, Books A Million, Thrift Books. You can search the ISBN from this, and you'll see all the retailers that's popping up at. I'm hoping that we could get a hardcover version out. We've been doing the hardcovers for the Kickstarters. People have been like super big fans of them. So we'd like to be able to invest in getting them out for the direct market too, but naturally being hardcover is going to be, increased costs and everything associated with that. But we really want to do it. So if you guys be so kind, if you backed it before, if you followed us on Kickstarter, or you just need a stocking stuffer coming up for Christmas season or something like that, go ahead and pick up Iberian Curse of the Crown at all these fine retailers, and then leave us some feedback, leave us reviews. That always goes really well. And then if we get, enough of a kick, then that'll give me the signal to go ahead and get that hardcover version ready for everybody too. And hopefully we'll have volume 2 is already complete, fully done. That's done on Kickstarter too. Hopefully we'll have that dropping just before the end of the year too.
All right, cool. Listen, and a really nice looking book. I just recently got with the first 2 volumes, and these are really good. I really enjoyed them. So you can pass that on to your artist writer.
Yeah, Luca. Yeah, Luca. He's been great. We got Iberian Chapter 5 funded last week. 6 is already well into production. So it's probably going to be coming around February 2026, and we're just going to keep rolling with it. We've tweaked the things a little bit. Luca is honing in his style because first he was doing really super illustrative artwork, but to sort of meet the demand of the readership and everything like that, he's refined his style to this like just super beautiful and really effective style that lets him, yes, get the product out a little bit faster, but in terms of the style, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like the book is finally like really looking and feeling like what it's supposed to look like, while we're able to also start doing more stuff in the direct market too. So yeah, I'm stoked for it. It's gonna be a good one.
All right, cool. All right, we're back. So who's next?
I think it falls on me right now.
All right.
Okay, I got one for the guys, and I always ask things, of course, this at the front of my mind all the time. But all of us here have been making comic books for some time. And I think everyone comes up to a point, no matter what you're doing creatively or career-wise, where you realize that you need to change something and what that change needs to be. So my question to the panel is, during your comics journey, what is the first time really professional you felt like you needed to change something, change the way you were doing business, change the way you're creating, and what that change was and what result it had for you in comic books?
Repeat that? I lost it.
What was the first time in making comics that you realized that you needed to change something you do, either creatively, your approach, your style, whatever the case may be? And what was it and what affected it?
Okay.
All right. So I guess I'll go first again. So for myself, it would be Kickstarter. So, I went from a model of, originally it was we were selling through Diamond, right? And then our numbers just weren't strong enough, so they kicked us out because that's what they do to indies. And we were doing, Daphne and I were doing a lot of shows. And this was probably late 90s, early 2000s. We did a boatload of shows. And then Kickstarter came in, and we were like, at first we were poking at it for the first couple of years. Then I was like, finally, I was like, all right, let me jump in. And I did it. And I think for me, that was a paradigm shift for myself. It was just like one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I think I can make a go of it like this. But between Kickstarter, within Kickstarter, it was the first 2 issues I did were like compilations of various Oswald stories, and I was doing hardcovers. And I did those, and I had very high benchmarks for them, and it really stressed me out. Those 2 campaigns, the very first 2 campaigns. Then I was like, you know what? Let me do something different. And for the 3rd campaign, I offered an actual comic book. And I was doing a lot of digital printing at the time, so I was making them all myself. So if you ordered any of like my first 5 or 6 campaigns, I made those books myself. I would order the books from a printer. I would get them. I would cut them, trim them, bind them, fold them, score them, whatever you could think of, I did on those books, except printing them. I had those printed at another facility. I had them sent over to me, and I did all that other work myself. And I was setting my goals at $500. I was not stressed out because I was meeting these goals. So the first goal was like 5,500. The second goal was 3,500. And I was making those goals, but it was just, I was hustling a lot, and it was just making me sweat. That's why I have the attitude towards it today. I'm just like, I just put whatever, and I put it out wherever, and I'm like, I just don't want to worry about it. So I think those were the big changes for me as far as doing business. And, it's grown, hasn't grown to the point that I wanted to grow to, but listen, I'm still here. So I'm still working at it. So there you go. All right. So I think it's Randy. You're next.
Early on, comics. When I was making a living off of comics, is back in the late '80s before Image popped in. I realized it got to be a job.
Mm.
You know, it was a job, and all of a sudden, all the fun, all the love was gone, and it just it was a job that I wasn't really fond of. I love comics, love being in comics, but man, it's work.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it got to be a job for me, and the way that I kicked out of that is I went and I bought a sketchbook. I bought a large black sketchbook, started taking it around to conventions, and started getting, if I couldn't get a picture, a sketch, then I got an autograph from the people that I love in this business and respect. And now I've got this sketchbook that I bring around, and I forget about it for years at a time. But every once in a while, I bring it out of mothballs and I take it to a show and have somebody sign it or draw in it. And when they go through and they start looking at it, they're like, holy crap, how did you get this? That kind of thing. But it's really turned into a kind of a great keepsake for me, because I've got autographs in there by like Will Eisner and Julius Schwartz and Jim Shooter and Nick Cardy and all of these great guys, but I've got illustrations on the inside. And I just got one last weekend added to the book. I got a Monarch Starstalker by Howard Chaykin put in there. And it really keeps me, I won't say grounded, but it keeps me in that fan attitude every time that I look through it, because it's a lot of drawings in there by a lot of people that I really respect and love their work on. And so glad that I've got a sketch, a piece of that. And now, like I said, when I take it to shows and people open it up and they see the inside, backside of the cover and all of the autographs that are in it, it really, I've seen people get shaken up this last weekend going through and reading and looking at, you know, all of the pictures and the autographs and stuff. Really proud of that book. Very happy that I got it way back in the early 90s to remind myself to be a fan, you know. And there's still about 20 pages left to go to fill out that book. But it's my pride and joy.
Cool. Nice. Tom.
There's two distinct moments for me. The first was when we decided to partner with Aspen. We had been doing comics for 4 years on our own. Kind of felt like we'd sort of hit the glass ceiling for what we were able to do on our own. So the thought process was, if we could get a name to sort of back us in what we do, maybe that would kind of, you know, open some more doors, give credibility to these guys that are these upstarts that, you know, we had books in the Diamond Top 300 all by ourselves, and we were working with, you know, some of the best people in the industry, but we still kind of felt like this is it. This is as far as we can go. So Aspen was very open to it, and we partnered up with them. We did it for 3 years. It was a mixed bag of everything. Partially because when we went over to Aspen, everybody assumed that we were gone, because we were no longer in the Diamond catalog under Big Dog Inc. Everything moved over to Aspen. So they would go through previews and be like, oh, Big Dog Inc.'s not here. I can't order their books. I guess they're out of business. So even though websites were reporting that we were with Aspen and, you know, all of this, and we were at cons saying, hey, we're with Aspen, like, we're still here, we're with Aspen. Like, we couldn't get people to understand that we were with Aspen. So while it was good and it did open doors to the Aspen audience and the people that knew the Aspen brand and so on, and they were like, oh, like, Aspen's picked up this company, this is really great. At the same time, we lost a lot of people that were like, well, I guess they're gone. Like, okay, fine. So then the second part was also Aspen related. When they sold part of their studio, or sold part of the company to a Hollywood studio, there wasn't a place for us there anymore. So I had to make a decision again. I had to make a decision to just go back into the pool with the Diamond world and just go back to where we were, Or we try this thing that people have been doing called Kickstarter, and we dove headlong into Kickstarter. And this has now been 10 years ago that we went solely into Kickstarter. I made the choice to leave the Diamond retail local comic shop system and focus on Kickstarter, crowdfunding, direct to customer, websites, Facebook Live, all that kind of stuff. We decided, okay, no more down the line. Everything is us to you. And it was successful right from the get-go, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And eventually it was like, we can sustain ourselves without chasing that dollar that we had to do. We were sending through to the retail stores. If you're selling a book for $5, if you're lucky, you might be making $2 on it every time you sell a book through Diamond, if you're lucky. So you got to just do the math. You got to sell a crap ton of books to just to break even through that system. So we were always chasing money in that system. So we just changed it, and now here we are with crowdfunding. We've been doing it for 10 years. But again, now that we're not with Aspen, well, I guess Big Dog Inc.'s dead. I guess they're gone. I guess they don't exist anymore. Now that blah, blah, blah. I've been going to cons the last few years and seeing people, and they're like, "Oh, you're back?" I'm like, "No, we never left. We haven't been maybe at this con for a while, but we've been making books. Look at the table, man. You haven't seen us since 2017. We haven't stopped. It's you. You're the one that lost track. You're not looking at your emails if you're on our email list. You're not on social media. You're not in the bubble to tell you where we are." And that's something that people really have to grasp hard, is that everybody kind of assumes that because we are always on the internet, because we're always pimping our stuff, assumes that everybody else is always on the internet. It is so wildly false that the rest of the world is constantly on the internet paying attention to you. They're not. It is a hard lesson to learn, which is why you'll hear creators so often talk about maintaining your fan base, through email lists and however you want to do it. It's really important to maintain that connection with your fans in whatever way you can, so that when you do something, they know about it. But even when you send out emails to your email list, you can see your interaction. You can go look at your analytics, and it's
70% of them get gobbled up by spam filters.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it's really, really difficult. But those are the three. And then even now, I'll tell you one more. Going forward, I'm now seeing a change in the way the Kickstarter works. I'm seeing a change in the way, not that it works, but in the way that people are buying books. I'm seeing a difference in the way that buyers are buying things, not just Kickstarter, but on cons and so on. There's a shift coming. It's kind of been happening. I can see the wave, and I want to get ahead of it. So even next year, you're going to see us modifying the way that we do crowdfunding now. You kind of always have to be on the lookout for the change, because it's always there, and you are either behind the wave and catching up, or you can really kind of start to look and think ahead and catch the wave and use it to push you forward. So hopefully I'm where I think I am, and I'm ahead of the wave, and it'll take us to the next step.
Cool. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Sure. So a couple for me. So way back, probably 15 years ago or so, I started out with my first comics project, which was it was aimed at younger kids. So probably I'd say seven plus boys was the age range for it. And I hired an artist, and I was a high school teacher at the time, so was making had very, very little spare cash to pay for an artist. And I got ripped off and learned a hard lesson there. And in order to keep publishing things, I switched over to prose for a very long time. And then Kickstarter really allowed me to come back over to the comics world, because then I could get the actual, I could hire artists and pay them the wage that they deserve for working on the books. And so it was one of those things where Kickstarter for me again opened a big door there to also enter this space that I had loved for a long time, but just hadn't been able to afford to jump into. But I'd say one of the big lessons from going from prose into comics is, with prose, you have the infinite space to write as much as you want on as many pages as you want.
Yeah.
And if you read the first issue of Mandrill PI compared to the most recent ones, because that was the comic project that I jumped back in the comics with, like the amount of copy that I have on every page is like night and day. It's one of those things where like I was really learning the medium more as I jumped back into it. And I guess that's just maybe some of the advice that I would have for people that are more prose writers coming into comics is, you think you cut your copy down a lot, but cut it down even more for every panel. So,
yeah. All right, cool. Mr. Fish.
I gotta say, as somebody who does client work for people and sometimes new creators that are prose writers, you cannot emphasize enough how much you need to cut that down. You can only fit so many words on a page. I've actually gone so far as to like letter a page the way a client sent it and show them that, and show them like there's 2 pockets I might can fit a head on this page, but that's it. Like it's all words. You're going to either have to cut it down or add pages, one or the other. But it's hard to see that until you see it. But yeah, as far as like things I've learned and had to change, there was a point every year I do like a count and a roundup of like how many projects I've worked on and how many things I've done this year and whatnot. And when my count of books I had worked on started getting up around 60, 70, something like that, it really hit me that if I had just started out doing my own books and just kept doing them instead of taking on all these jobs doing everybody else's books, I could have been 70 books into my own stuff at that point, as opposed to 70 books into everybody else's stuff. And that made a fundamental shift in the way I started looking at things and thinking about like, because at the time I was going to cons with like 5 books that I had done for other people that gave me the rights to be able to sell copies at my tables and stuff at shows, because we don't go to the same places. And I would be selling those, but I wasn't selling any of my own stuff, and I wasn't getting any of my own stories out there. And that made the shift to me pushing further and further into my own stuff. And then, I'm creative like everybody else, and I get a lot of ideas, and I like, well, let's do this story, and then we'll do this story, and then we'll do this story, and then we'll go back and we'll do issue 2 of that one. And oh, I got a new story, and oh, wait a minute, I got this bird barbarian. Let's do that. And I just, and I thought, I saw a lot of people putting out a whole lot of different stuff, and I saw some people, were getting to places that I wanted to be at with crowdfunding, and couldn't understand why I wasn't getting there. And it was my buddy T.S. Luther. One of the reasons I work with him so much now is because he's got such a good business mindset, and he understands business and marketing a lot better than I do. Yeah, I spent my life studying storytelling and drawing comic books, not, like selling things. And he's like, dude, you're all over the place. Like you're each one of these books isn't necessarily going to the same market, and each one of them is headed down a different road in a different direction. And, you need to consolidate and figure out which story you really want to be telling, and just start telling that story and be known as the guy that tells that story, and you'll get a lot further, a lot faster. So he's like, well, which one of these do you want to do? And I was like, actually, it's none of those. It's this other story, Alice Lost in Wonderland. And he's like, well, why aren't you doing that? And I was like, I don't know. I'm stupid. I've been just doing all this other stuff. And so I started, cranking that out, and I'm a lot happier doing that. The book's gotten so much better. And I wish I could have started on that, 7 years ago and be 100 books into that right now. But I'm not going to knock it. We're going to be putting out issue 4 in February. That's not bad. And, issue 6 is going to be coming around right after that. But I wish I had known to focus in on one thing, because if I just started telling that story that I wanted to tell in the beginning, I'd be so much further right now. But you live and you learn.
Yeah. All right, cool. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of the local church basement cons when I was starting off, right? Cutting my teeth, learning how to make my pitches and stuff like that. But it wasn't giving me any reach. It was very insular, right? It was the same people in the same local church basements, in the same synagogues, right? It wasn't until I did the New York Comic Con that people started to come to me. I didn't have to do as much legwork finding out information, right? You had vendors coming to me at the event. My international reach was starting to grow. I was meeting people also from different parts of the nation who did comics different ways. And it was as big a learning experience as it was jumping into the deep end of the pool, right? Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to learn to swim with the sharks that are surrounding you, right? Because that's what it was, and it opened my eyes to so many different things that I'm still learning, right? But it also expanded my reach to Japan and India and Malta. Who sells books in Malta? I don't know, but I did, right? Because of this, and also some of the promoters for shows that I couldn't really get to on an email, or because they were so busy, they'd be there selling you, right, their spots at their tables. So I got invited to the Puerto Rico Comic Con in New York. I got invited to do the Boston Comic Con, right, from New York, and I was like, oh, okay, let's rock and roll. So for me, it became the juice was worth the squeeze, right? What I was not making in revenue early on in this event, I was hitting other goals at these events, which was well worth it, because I would have spent 10 times as much to try to get the reach that I ended up attaining at this event. So that was a big moment. That was a big shift for me.
Cool. Marcus, answer your own question, buddy.
Oh man, this might be a tough one. This might take us to the end of the show. But this one has been on my mind because Odyssey Comics is going into its 5-year anniversary next year. 2026 is going to be 5 years of Odyssey Comics. When I decided to finally give this crazy industry my best college try. And as I talk to more people and things like that, the more people tell me, and I was having this conversation with another publisher just last week, where when you hit about 5 years in is when you start understanding like how you want to move in this space, what you want to do, like where your priorities are, like kind of comics you want to make, the lanes you want to take. And I'm kind of at that point in time, and I'm realizing that Odyssey as it stands wasn't really serving the purpose of what I really kind of started doing comic books for. And it's not really serving the direction that I personally feel best about. And pretty much where also the industry is like bringing me into spaces. Like you do what you're supposed to, and like that you'll start finding like the nooks and crannies in your niches to start going into. So I'm making the difficult decision to get away from operating as a publisher and no longer publish in the traditional sense. Not that I won't publish it, because God knows I will. We'll continue to do things independently, but what Odyssey hasn't really been a publisher. It's always been more of a creative studio. Like people aren't like bringing, in some cases we get like finished work and it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool. And the teams are owning everything and they're turning things into me. And then like I'm publishing it. Like, no, that's been like the exception to the rule. Usually I'm building things from the ground up with people, usually as at bare minimum editor and story editor, things like that. And then in extreme cases, also being a colorist or artist in, you know, some of the short stories and stuff that we did, letters, graphic design, like everything got like really outside of doing like the main art and writing the story. At least the majority of the story, I'm involved in all those aspects. And that's how I've been doing on all of our projects that we've been publishing for 5 years now. And it is a fucking lot. It is a lot. Like, I love doing it, but similar to what Randy was saying, like, you know, the work aspect of it, you start feeling it, and it's just like, I can't even take the time to enjoy putting a good book together, because I'm on to the next thing that day. I don't have an hour to celebrate that little victory that I had. Like, I got that feeling recently when I had the Last Iberian hardcover volume we did. I think, JD, you picked that one up. Like, that's a really nice fucking book. I like this book. It's fucking beautiful. I love it so much. In the box. Out to the orders it goes. Okay. Well, like, and
Marcus,
it's just like,
Marcus, there's no time for celebration. There's only time for the war. Right? That's it.
You got to keep war all the time.
That's it.
I want better for myself and better for my creators than that. Even if it means having to shed some things that we do, not do as much stuff, become like much more smaller and focused, which I think was already the direction in this new crop of books that we've done. I think basically since Slight Return that we put out was in Planet Pumpkin. Those are like the first two where we were really like nailing down that new style and doing things, and the quality of work that we are producing compared to where we were even just like, you know, a year and a half ago is like fucking crazy. So I know that's the direction I want to go. And even when it comes to cons and things like that, the spaces that I'm fitting into and things like that, where I'm like getting more away from the traditional con thing and going to more focused events, independent expos, writer expos, going into literary spaces and things like that. It's a world of difference. Like, I had half of a table at a one-day indie convention doing Slice in St. Louis in the middle of a rainstorm in a bad shit economy, and I fucking sold out on half of a table because I'm going to people who, like, some of them already know, even the organizer, they know me, they know who I am, because these are people reading us books and they were enjoying those things. So when I come to it, like, you know, before I'm even setting up, you know, people are talking to me and need me just taking the time to do it. And then when you function in those literary spaces, I also meet like buyers from Barnes and Noble. Like, I get to talk to someone directly. They ordered that book to stock their Barnes and Noble location like that day. You meet more of our peers, of course, more writers, more people that are doing things on the publishing side. You know, being able to talk to some people who I really admire, who are like, have sold more books than I can ever fucking hope to, and say like, hey man, I want to talk to you about some comics and doing something and those like that. It's just when you sort of shift the mindset and then what you do a little bit differently and finding some of these more niche spaces, it's like it's growth by subtraction, addition by subtraction. You're doing much more focused like engagement with the creators and the readers and the industry and everything like that. You're getting more of a result for it. So it's like being able to do in a day convention and what I usually have to do at like a 3-day convention, or getting as much sales, making as much money, making the networking opportunity. Like, that's really killer, and that's a game changer for me. So really taking this sort of boutique approach into Odyssey Comics, and then of course expand the horizons for people, because it's like not Odyssey Comics holding your IP hostage anymore. You're living or dying by it. People will do an Odyssey Comics book, and then they can go take it to Dark Horse, they can take it to Image, they can take it to Big Dog Inc., they can take it to Unstoppable Comics, they can, you know, take it to wherever they want to go to. Like, we just own the production of it and getting it out, and then where it goes from there is going to be determined upon the creative team. But they have that decision, or, you know, they could come to me and do that. There's been a couple of things where we sort of done in that vein, where the project was originally brought to Odyssey, and I helped edit it and do all this stuff with it, and it will never have my name on it. I'll never talk about what the projects are, but be able to say like, hey, this maybe isn't right for Odyssey. Like, we don't have an avenue to do it, or you're going to be 2 years behind in the queue, wherever it is. Take it to this publisher. I'll give them an email, my voice of approval, saying like, I put all of my ink on that project, and I'll vouch for it, and then see those creators actually get published with the people that, you know, they reach out to. So that just shows like I could have an impact and do things outside the purview of just like what I'm doing and focused on and like the immediate publishing process. And if I have that ability, then why would I just ever limit myself to lock myself into this fucking grind for years and years and years when it's so much more of a richer thing, like all around and kind of better for everybody all around to shift focus a little bit. So I think that's where I'm at, and that's what people are going to be seeing coming up real soon. Honestly, my website's down right now because we're going through like the whole rebrand and everything. So when everything starts coming back up for 2026, we'll start seeing changes.
All right, cool. All right, Marcus, good job. Who's next?
JD.
Sure.
I already asked one.
You already.
I can go next.
All right.
I think this might be on Randy maybe too.
No, Chris has a question.
Sure. I'll jump in next. It might be a little bit of a less epic question than what some of the other ones have been. What's your favorite dinosaur? No, I'm just playing.
I got it
For sure, folks. Hands down. Not even a question.
The correct answer is only Ankylosaurus, and if you didn't answer that one, then you're wrong. If you could write or illustrate a story arc or miniseries that takes place in any other creator's universe, whose would it be, and which character would you focus on?
Very nice. Okay. Actually, I think Randy, you're up next.
No. You answer first.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Everything, Hammer.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. You're correct. Okay. All right. It's a good one. This is a tough one. Now, we talking major publisher or just anything?
In anything you want.
All right. I'm going to try to make them quick. Two quick ones. Daredevil for Marvel. And here's the thing with Daredevil. Here's the 5 things that I would not do on Daredevil. No extra, no ninjas, no kingpin, no bullseye, no stick.
No job for you.
Right. See, that's the thing.
We're not even putting Matt Murdock in this, okay?
Right,
You wouldn't do Matt. He would do Mike.
Right.
Mike.
The reason for that is that everyone has leaned on what Frank Miller did for so long, because those are all Frank Miller sticks, right? Everyone has leaned on what he's done. No one has done anything original except I'm drawing a blank on her name for the creator that came in after him. It was his editor. I forgot her name.
And
Nocenti.
Yes.
So she did some really good stuff afterwards, and she didn't lean on any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
But if you listen, I love Ed Brubaker. But if you read Ed Brubaker's run on Daredevil, Elektra, Kingpin, Ninjas, all the same BS. You read all the new stuff that's coming out now. Everybody says it's good, but it's still Elektra, Ninjas, it's all the same stuff, right? So that's why I wouldn't do any of those things for Daredevil. So
I would kill to see Daredevil punch Stiltman again, do villain of the week sort of stuff. Yeah.
Right. But if I had to do like a book that I really want to do, it'd probably be Phase 1 Phasers from AC Comics or Captain Paragon.
Phase 1 Phasers?
Phase 1
Phasers.
Yeah, Vic Bridges from AC Comics or Captain Paragon. Be one of those two. So those would be my fun ones.
Okay.
All right. So I think Randy, you were next.
For DC, I pitched Man Bat and the Outsiders. Still would love to do that. But Bob Schreck took it just to piss Mike Carlin off. So he took a proposal and just so he could run in and plop it on his desk and go, "That's my next hot book," and go running, because it was every character. He told me it was every character that Mike Carlin hated that I would have put on that team. But for Marvel, I've got 2 I've always wanted to do and pitch, and one of them is a Hero for Hires series where Luke Cage actually becomes successful.
Okay.
And overly successful. I think that would be just such a great story. He goes to night school, learns business, and then gets so frustrated because he starts this Heroes for Hire thing where they can go out and bust heads, and he can't go. And the main reason he can't go is because his board keeps telling him that he can't leave due to insurance reasons, he can't get himself into those risky situations. And it just really pisses him off, just adds to the frustration. But he becomes overly successful so that Heroes for Hire, he ends up going out and having to hire these oddball Marvel characters just to do basic grunt work that he can do in a heart's
He's got like D-Man on cleanup.
Oh yeah. Yeah, going out and getting the what's his name? Not the Protector. Oh, that was a great Spider-Man villain that they should have turned into a hero way back when. The Prowler. That's who it was. The Prowler and Paladin and all of those characters, and having to herd those cats, having all of these big business problems that was just driving him nuts, when actually he just wanted to go out and bust some heads. So eventually he ends up having to vigilante himself up and go out in order to burn off a little steam. The other book I've always wanted to do is What If the Watcher Created the Marvel Universe? And that's a setup for a multiverse Secret Wars where all of the Watchers were using their individual worlds as ant farms and raising champions, and then they go and butt them against one another. Be a great little fight book. I always wanted to do.
Well, that's basically what DC did with the 52. They put all of their Elseworlds and made them fight each other.
Yeah. I've had that idea for decades, though. Other than that, Marvel, if they were to hand me Killraven tomorrow, I would gladly take it.
All right. Cool.
So, would love to write that book.
All right. Well, let's go with Chris next.
Well, it's his question.
Oh, right. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Right. Listen,
I'm all over the format. You don't know how to operate, buddy.
No, not at all. So we'll go with Marcus. What would you want to do, Marcus?
You guys are gonna think this is crazy, but
this is comics. What do you mean it's gonna be crazy?
Exactly.
One of my dream projects is doing a Hypno Hustler miniseries with Marvel.
Was it Hypno Hustler with who?
Hypno Hustler. He's a very, very obscure Spider-Man enemy who can induce mass hypnosis through his music. So my take and my pitch on this whole thing was going to be an almost very esoteric, Vertigo style, reboot of Hypno Hustler. He is straight up using, of course, his music ability and hypnosis to start running a drug ring and start selling cocaine and stuff like that in Marvel's New York City. But doing it in a way where as he is hypnotizing people and he's getting more followers and stuff like that, they are taking on more of a 1970s sort of approach to. So basically imagine Hell's Kitchen becomes Hell's Kitchen it was in New York in the 1970s, and you got all these people that are hypnotized who are playing up these tropes and everything like that, and all of a sudden when Spider-Man or Daredevil stuff have to get involved, they are basically thrown back into their Silver Age comics because fucking Hypno Hustler has completely changed the reality of what people are doing and everything.
Fucking henchmen.
Yeah, with the jive henchmen.
You gotta shift the setting, Marcus.
Yeah, you gotta shift the setting and everything like that.
More the Village for Hypno Hustler.
Yeah, more.
And for those who don't know Hypno Hustler, he's Bootsy Collins.
He's Bootsy Collins.
He's Bootsy Collins.
And the whole thing is set, of course, to a musical too,
I love it.
which is something that we worked on with Slight Return, because that's how you have to do. So it's a comic musical, and it has those segments and everything. It's a deep cut, and it would be weird, but man, it was. I think stylistically, if I could deliver on how I envision it too, it'd be top level shit. I
like that. Are you gonna get the figure when it comes out?
I hope so.
It's announced. It's on the next wave.
I was the one person disappointed from the fact that Childish Gambino's Hypno Hustler movie fell apart. I think he probably would have took things in a similar direction I would go. So I'm like that's just as good as me making that movie, man. I know you have similar sensibilities when that wasn't going to be a thing anymore because Kraven the Hunter shit the band at the box office. Then missing out on Hypno Hustler supremacy.
All right, cool. All right, let's go with Mr. Fish.
I just got to say, I respect that pick, man. As somebody whose favorite Spider-Man villain is the Ringer, I respect that pick, man.
There we go.
I mean,
we need those guys back in comics and stuff.
The Ringer.
I would love to do something with an obscure villain from Marvel or DC. I would really love to work on the Ninja Turtles if given the opportunity. But a series I really would love to be able to take a crack at would be Gorilla My Dreams by Big Tim Styles. I freaking love that series so much because, I mean, it's cool, it's funny, it's goofy. I mean, it's a gorilla in a spandex suit, you know, going out and solving crime. And he's a super smart gorilla. Doesn't make him that smart of a detective, but he's a smart gorilla. And the fact that he's a gorilla in a spandex suit wearing a trench coat and he has to look both directions before he takes off the trench coat to expose his spandex, because it could be another gorilla, you know, he's got to make sure he doesn't lose. I freaking love it so much.
It's such a good series. So if people aren't reading it,
that's how I got exposed to Mandrill PI. I think I got like a copy of that in one of those, like, you know, bundles with it. Oh my God, I love it so much. I'm excited. I would love to work on that. I've got to do a couple of variant covers, and it's the pride and joy of anything I've worked on.
Nice.
And Tim's just a delightful person too. He's just a really good guy.
Absolutely the best.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Tom, what would you like to work on?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think there would be like sort of caveats to it. I would love to be able to write for Arthur Adams to draw, right? So if he were to ever be like, I just need somebody to write this book for me, like Monkey Man and O'Brien, fantastic. Johnny Future, fantastic. Like, I would love to write that stuff, assuming that he's going to draw it. I would love to be able to team up with him and do that. Like, to do it just on my own with like another artist, like I wouldn't want to do that. But like, if he's going to draw his book with my script 100%, like, you know, let me do that. Either of those books would be fantastic. But the one that has always been sort of the top of the bucket list for me in comics, it's really the only one that I've ever been like, this is what I have to reach this at some point. And I think it's becoming more and more attainable with as much stuff as they keep putting out, is writing something for Godzilla. It's the book that, the first book that I ever bought was Marvel's Godzilla number 16 way back in the day. So that is what got me into comics, because I didn't know what a comic book was. I saw a Godzilla comic at a flea market. I was like, well, I know what Godzilla is. What the hell is it? What is this? So I bought it, took it home, and I was like, okay, what else is there? So I went back the next week and got some more, and that was it. I was into comics for the rest of my life. So for me, it would be that perfect sort of, you know, perfect circle to be like, I started with Godzilla and now I managed to, you know, write something for the series, for a one shot, for whatever it is that they need me to do. That would be the top of the list, would be that.
All right, cool. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, all right. So I'm a big Captain America mark. Big Captain America mark. A lot of touchstone moments in life happened around that book. So I would love to write Captain America, but not what we got now, right? The 80s style, the American Graffiti, the guy who drove around the country in a van with his motorcycle in the back. That's you know, the everyman Captain America was the shit. I love that. I think we need that today, right? It was Mark Greenwald was the best. If I can do a licensed property, well, I can't do Eagle Force because I've tried to get the license or I spoke to the people that have the license for Eagle Force, and they weren't jamming. I'm never going to do G.I. Joe, which is as much means as much as what Captain America meant to me. So I've spoke about this a few times on Comic Book Streamland.
Laser Blast.
Never. Closest thing I could get to G.I. Joe, which is probably out there, and Tom has encouraged it, is Mega Force. I mean, it's the gimmicky, you know, team, vehicle, gadget,
It's trash.
It's fucking mega trash. So you got so much space to play around with it, dude. You know what I mean? You could throw all the James Bond gadgets in there. You could, I mean, there's no boundary. You know what I'm saying, dude? There's so much to explore, man. Oh, Megaforce would be the shit. I'm so fucking down for that, dude. So fucking down. Plus, they got those cool gold spandex costumes or lycra. I don't know what the fuck they were wearing, in the 80s.
Those great jumpsuits. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love that. I love that. I do. Yeah, all over it.
So this says it was distributed by Fox, which means Disney probably owns it now.
Fuck. I'm done.
Which is a good thing because
Wow.
Disney is licensing out all their shit, man, to comics.
Really?
Like, yeah. I mean, all the ducks and everything are over with Dynamite. And I mean, you can all the gargoyles and all the Lion Kings and all that. Like, that's a real opportunity right now is to go into the Disney licensing and be like, do you guys have Megaforce? Do you care about Megaforce? Let me have Megaforce for 5
send you a
years.
check, yeah.
Right. DisneyLicensing.com. All right, I'm sorry. Thank you.
You'll probably get that. Do we actually own this property question?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Through, yeah.
Oh man, and you know what? I don't have to do a celebrity artist cover. I could just reach out to Barry Bostwick and get his picture on a
You probably could.
and
Yeah.
fucking save a ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the movie lost $15 million. So if they can get a check from you for anything, they're probably happy.
Right? I'm with it, dude. Oh, I'm so with it.
All right, cool. So, Chris, answer your own question.
Okay. I'd love to do something in BPRD. So probably like a Roger the Homunculus story, or maybe just C or D list team that never makes the actual pages of the actual comic. The thing that inspired me to ask this question is I've recently gotten like super into Dungeon Crawler Carl, and they just did this backer kit campaign where it's focused on a completely different crawler, and Michael Morokai and Brett Bean did the comic for it, and it was like, oh, that would be awesome to be able to play in that world. And I'd probably pick like a Louis and Faraz, if you know those characters, would probably be who I would focus on from there. And then outside of those two, if I was to pick mainstream, probably like a slapstick from Marvel would be a fun character to write, or I think Uncle Scrooge could be kind of a fun one to take on.
Huh.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Very nice. All right. We got room for one more question. Fish, Randy, either one of you?
Always
too
got
heavy.
questions.
Huh?
I would just ask. It's getting close to the holiday season. If you got a 20 to 30-year-old who's a reader but not a reader of comics, what would you get them for a Christmas gift?
Okay.
What comic would you get for somebody who just hasn't any exposure to comics whatsoever, but
That's a good
reads?
question. But he reads though. Now,
Yeah.
does he read fantasy?
He or
Huh?
she, anything.
He or she, or that person. Do
Yeah.
they read history?
Everything.
Fantasy? They read everything.
I mean, I'm
Split
sorry.
up to male and female. It's fine.
What gift
you get?
would you get them that they won't read comic books, or that they will read comic books?
That
But they
they're
haven't.
a hard reader, but they don't read comics. I mean, they don't have an aversion to it. If you get them a comic book, they'd sit and read it, but they have never been exposed to comics before.
Fables. I would get them the first 6. Yeah, the first trade of Fables.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would work. Okay. So,
Male or female?
male or female? I think Fables will work for either one.
There you go.
Yeah. It's either that or Swamp Thing. So,
Swamp
Yeah.
Thing. This is why people don't get into comics, because you people are giving them this shit that they'll be like, "What is this fucking weed that I'm reading about?"
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't start anybody with Swamp Thing. Just like you don't start them with Watchmen, because it'll overwhelm them.
Oh yeah, no. Watchmen's too much.
Yeah, Watchmen, you also have to have the context of like knowing even what's
you have to have a basic idea of what superhero tropes are, for sure.
Right.
Exactly.
What about V for Vendetta?
Oh, definitely got a good one. Junji Ito, Frankenstein.
Do a power bomb. It's
Yes.
simple. It's contained. It's a nice presentation in a graphic novel. It goes off the rails, but it comes back nicely. It's a father-daughter story, so you can get both male and female perspectives in there. I'd go do a power bomb.
I'd second that. I also just recently read, if you haven't read Kaiju Max by Xander Cannon, it's about a kaiju prison system, and it's really entertaining. And there are 3 like omnibus volumes out. It could be an interesting grab.
All right, cool. Tom?
I mean, it really depends on so many things, but if we're assuming that they are deep readers, I would say probably something like the first League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. They'd be able to tap into all those characters pretty easily, and then you get the new Tetrising of all those characters into a comic book style. So it should be a pretty easy transition into what they already know in a new format.
All right, cool. Marcus.
You just mentioned my pick, actually, Batman Year One, which, of course, is a super important book in the grand scheme of like comic book lore and everything like that, with a super recognizable character. But I don't think that book gets enough credit for being as approachable as it is. It's probably the graphic novel I've reread more than anything else. It has this very literary and like cinematic like quality to it that Frank Miller was able to get, and then you get like David Mazzucchelli's art, which is just fucking insanely phenomenal. One of the most beautiful illustrated books that's just like ever come out of comics, period. And I think if a person is come with it and they of course know who Batman is, but they're like might be looking to explore comics or even just get a damn good story within itself, it's self-contained, it's easy to follow. You don't really, since it's Batman starting out, you don't need to know anything about Batman lore. It has no reading required for it at all. And then once you get, it's like really good, and also the sort of thing to where you can build on fandom with it. You can put that book down, just enjoy it for what it is, and never pick it back up again. But the result of Year One is everybody wants to read more Batman after it. You want to see what comes next in different interpretations of that character, or something that even feels similar to it. So I think. And it's not a long read either, so it's something that you get someone to try out. It's like super cheap, super easy to find. And, it's a fantastic book.
Cool.
Mr. Fish.
If it's like a kid in my life, I would get him Black Science because it's not a superhero book. That's the thing. A lot of the times when I'm at a con and people are like, "Ooh, no, I don't read comics." It's because they're thinking just superheroes, and I'm like, "Dude, there's so much more out there than that." And it's awesome sci-fi story. It's wild. The art's awesome. There's family drama, trauma stuff in there. I dig it, and I think it would be interesting to somebody who's hasn't gotten into the whole comic thing yet. That's me.
Cool. Randy, answer your question.
I'm well, again, it would depend upon the person, but ElfQuest is always a good answer for that. Also, any of the Epic collections or old Marvel Essentials, or I used to catch those at the at shows, depending upon what the collection was, and give those out at Christmas time, as well as there's a whole, and I think I mentioned this at the last show I was on. DC has got a whole line of reprint books out now called DC Finest. You just can't go wrong with any of them. So they've got a great Sergeant Rock volume coming out here within the next couple of months. I'm really looking forward to with Kubert and Russ Heath artwork in it. Just should be phenomenal. But there's all sorts of different, and they've broken it down by different genres too. They've got a science fiction book that's got all intelligent guerrilla stories in it. They've got a horror volume that's got really classic stuff from some of the best that they've ever reprinted. And there's a lot of other superhero characters in blocks also that they've got reprinted as well. And it's great paper and it's inexpensive. Just I'm really impressed by that product that they're doing in their selection of reprints. Really good. Right. But other than that, it'd definitely be something self-contained. I've given away Watchmen as a gift to people like that in the past. I didn't think that they had that hard of a time, depending upon how old they are and how much they have a basic understanding of superhero tropes and that. So seeing how many YA books. Bone would also be another great book to give away like that. Any opening volume of Bone, and you can get it as small as 6-issue chunks or as large as the entire story in a big compendium. Mm-hmm. That can't fail with that quality of work.
Mm-hmm. I just gave that away this year.
There you go.
Let me tell you, it's better than Faust.
So why didn't any of us say our own books?
Because that would be just a little too egocentric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm all up on people buying copies of the Shadow King. That's a nice self-contained story. Yeah. Proud of that. Yeah.
So, your last of the Mohegans, you have a question you want to ask real quick?
Yeah, and it's kind of on that. Like, I keep seeing a lot of the same issue. It feels like a lot of our fans are other creators in the indie comic space, which to a point is understandable because nobody loves indie comics more than us. So, we get excited about it. But at the same time, like when I ship out 100 books, I hear back from like 3 people that actually read it. And how do we get in front of more actual readers, more people that actually enjoy just reading comics and not the other guys that also want to just make them, because some of that they're just buying and sticking in a box and never looking at. I got 2 short boxes of need to read books that I haven't read yet.
All right. Since I'm going first, the short answer I would say would be like, you just got to try to focus on something like going to shows and building your lists from actual fans, people who are actually purchasing your books, who are reading them, and doing your best to identify those, because it's difficult to identify who are the actual fans, who are other creators. And the thing is we do have creators who are fans, right? Like I've been reading indie comics since I was a kid, and even though I'm making them, I never stopped, right? And and I buy books, from tons of creators, right? I'm what's called a super backer on like 2 separate accounts. So, I have problems, right? So the problem is, I like to buy indie comics. So I don't think, I think what we need to do as indie creators is broaden the market, right? Introduce it to newer people, or even just bringing in older fans who are like, where Marvel and DC are dead to them, right? Because we've seen plenty of those guys and gals, and we need to try to get them into our stuff, right? That's what I think we need to focus on. Not so much a thing of like, separating the fans from the artists and the artists from the fans, because you're always gonna have a mix because of the space that we inhabit. So so that's what I think. I don't even know. Jay, you want to go next?
I don't got an answer. If I did, I wouldn't be sorry. I wouldn't be looking for it. You know what I mean, bro? I'm in the same place, Pop.
Well, yeah, there's not really an answer to that because it's always the same thing. How do we get more people? How do we get more people? How do we get more people? You do things like this. You go to cons. You just put yourself in front of more people. It's the only thing you can do. When you're talking about selling 100 books and only 3 people talk about it, that doesn't mean that the other 97 didn't read the book. It just means that they didn't talk about it. And that's what I was actually thinking about that today. I was like, I see oftentimes a lot of people will get a book from Kickstarter or whatever, and then I'll see them, hey, I got my book and the thing, and it's so good or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I only get like 3 or 4 people that do that for my social media. But again, it doesn't mean that they're not reading the book. It's just we don't get that next level out of them. That kind of is the helpful part of it, is, you know, that grassroots, that, oh, this guy's talking about something. Let me get, you know, sort of engaged in it. But there's nothing you can do about that. People, like I said earlier, people use social media how they use social media. A lot of people are just like, I bought the book. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm reading it. I'm waiting for the next one, and that's it. But yeah, I think the best way to get new people to engage with your stuff is the Comic-Con experience, because not only then are they getting the content experience, if you can get them to take it home, but they're getting the connection with the creator, right? And that's really the best, most important part, is you get that 5, maybe 10 minutes of that engagement so that they kind of can key in with you. And if they have a sense of like, oh, this guy likes Jaws and I like Jaws, so maybe I'll like the book that he's writing, and you can kind of get that sort of connection done. That's where you can make that next step into a sale. And then maybe, really, honestly, I don't want to, this will sound crass, but it doesn't matter if they talk about it as long as they're buying it. Right. So, as long as you can't kind of keep seeing that same name, hey, I did another crowdfunding. There's that guy. There's that guy. There's that guy. There's that guy. You've done your job. You've hooked them. They're in there. You'd love for them to say, I love Fish's book. Like, go buy Fish's book. But at the end of the day, they gave you their $10, $20, and they're happy because they keep coming back. And I think that's really the only thing we can kind of hope for.
All right, cool. Marcus?
It's going to sound crazy. It might sound insane. But if you want to connect with readers and get more from readers, you have to go where readers are. And they're not shy about where they are. They're in all the places you expect. So it's like say we pivoted as we're doing more direct market stuff. We're doing events with Barnes and Nobles. We'll bring a case of just one book, one title into Barnes and Nobles, and we sold out that case because the people who are going there, they are readers, even if they're not necessarily comic book readers. They are readers. They are going to a store because they are expecting to buy a book, and if you get a book in front of them, then your likelihood of selling it, even versus like a con, becomes drastically different. They're going to that store for a reason to buy something. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I've been going to more focused events, so less going to just big comic cons that could be driving people who are going to see the latest celebrity, or just there to buy merch, or you're going into spaces that are more literary suited. They're more niche, so they might seem like less of a prospect, but they shouldn't, because sometimes you get into them for free and don't pay a dime, or it's very minimal compared to the cost of doing a con. And what we've been able to do, thankfully, since we've done so much stuff, I could do them and I can tailor down my selection of books to fit the audience that is there, because I research to it and I look into it. Like, I want to do this flight, something like, okay, this is a very much more like YA censored audience who will probably like this book that we do, this book that we do, that book that we do. And then I come into it with that pared down selection, and it's, lo and behold, I brought the books out, and the people who have been on Kickstarter or who have read that book are there, and they recognize it. They know the creators that we have like associated with the book. And it seems crazy because, like, what's the odds? But actually, when you laser in like that, that's when those things happen more. Another big thing that a lot of people miss out on is panels. That's one thing I've kind of like discovered this year too, because you are literally going out in front of your readers. Sometimes they're just other industry folk stuff, but like sometimes they're fans. And I think we did SDCC, and I was like shocked by how many people showed up. We almost packed out a pretty decent sized hall at SDCC, and we weren't even talking directly about, we were talking about like drawing and tailoring is like more instructional and educational thing. And then me being there for like, an hour or two, sometimes like after the panel, and I'm talking to people who know Odyssey books and who read Odyssey books, and they're coming to me, they're telling me what they liked and what they might not have liked. I'm showing them new stuff and getting that in front of them. And that makes like a big, massive change. And when I started doing more of those niche events, lo and behold, I would see the people there who are at my panel at Comic-Con also show up to this place. And they'll say like, hey, Marcus, I saw your panel. Like, I didn't know you'd be at something like this, things like that. And it becomes really cool because there's not a lot of comic creators in those spaces. Like when I was at Slice, I was the only publisher there. Maybe there's like one other publisher. That was pretty much it. And I did, I think I did San Diego Writers Festival this year too. I was the only comic book person there. There wasn't a whole lot of anything else going on. So basically, people were buying stuff from me, or they were like leaving empty-handed with. So even though it like wasn't like a space specifically for comics, that was things there. And like, even there too, I came across and met people who were like at my other panels that I did around SoCal and stuff. So it becomes it serves a purpose, of course, for promotion and purposes and things like that. But I noticed that doing the panels or trying to get them, if you can't do a booth at a convention, that becomes too expensive. Send a panel, application. Even if 15 people show up, those are going to be 15 of your most passionate people that you can connect with at that point in time. And maybe those 15 people will make another 15 people. Maybe you'll double that room size next year. So when we start doing things like that, especially how we, moved into direct market and doing things with Barnes & Noble, is like, we didn't sell a ton of books, but we've doubled like what we did in our book, like Twilight Custard, year over year. So even though the book's older now and it's been, done for 2 years, this now is a year where people are buying it in the stores and buying it online and things like that, because we have just done a more effective job of getting out in front of people. So even if they're showing up to those events and they're not buying it at the table back then, they're remembering it and they're going home, or they're going to a different store or something like that and they're buying it there. So that becomes pretty cool too.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
you really have to do a lot of guerrilla marketing. Got to think outside the box and go places that, but you never know. You plant a seed and who knows? It might even take months before it comes to fruition. But you have no idea what your reach is until you go out there and actually start. Donate books to a library. Hit the little local. We got little local libraries set up in different neighborhoods that are freebie stuff that you can just come in and take a book. And any little opportunity to get out there in front of folks. With the Atlantean, we've gotten some luck about reaching out to readers in other countries. We've got, we're translated into Portugal, or Portuguese, I should say, for the Brazilian market, into Danish for the Denmark. And a couple of weeks back, we just signed contracts to be translated into Russian for the Russian market. And I can't wait to see what kind of a readership we generate from that area. And we're keeping our eyes open, especially for Italy and France, because that's really the market that I do a sword and sorcery book that's a really hot genre right now over in Europe.
Italy and France as a whole is like they are fucking insane about comic books.
They definitely are.
It has an entire different cultural thing than
yep. Everywhere but North America, comics are looked at as art. As high art. And it's just great. I can't wait to get out there in front of other readers like that.
Yeah, and the quality of like creators and stuff that comes out with it. That's one of the things too. Like somehow we ended up getting a pretty decent foothold in the EU, in the UK, and now I'm doing project specific. So we'll have 2 projects coming from out of Italy. That we'll be doing, and even just the way working with from a creator and publisher standpoint, from the way the teams work and get things like these are pros, but like they operate like they've been in the industry for years already. So
they have,
and
a lot of these publishers have been around for decades doing the same format, same type of stuff, and being very successful in a wide variety of genres. It's just great.
All right, cool. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think I would have said a lot about comics and Comic-Cons, especially, and then Also book conventions or like writer literature conventions. So I think people covered most of the answers I would have given. I'd say another place that I haven't had nearly as much time to do it with over the last year or so, but TikTok is another place where with the TikTok shop, I was getting some, starting to get some pull, and then real life got in the way and haven't had as much time to devote to that. But, if you got the time, that's a place where
It
you can
takes an
definitely
investment of
grab
time
some.
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, cool. Mr. Fish, answer your own question.
I mean, like he just said, TikTok has honestly been one of the best places for me personally because I get to interact, I get to, show my personality. But if you're not like going live all the time and making videos to pitch your books that are for sale there, it dries up pretty quick. It's only going if you're constantly feeding the machine. And either I can be making videos to make sales on the books I already have, or I can be cranking out new books and doing client books to pay the bills. So, it's a tightrope to walk all the time. And cons and stuff are good too. I'm trying to look for more opportunities in more interesting places like Marcus was talking about. Like a friend of mine cleaned up at a Christmas event in his hometown. It was like a one-day thing. He was the only person there that was selling anything even remotely for kids. Everything else was like decorations for your McMansion. And so he cleaned up and just sold out everything he brought with him because people were just buying stuff to shut the kids up. And so I'm looking for more opportunities locally to do that without having to put in a gigantic investment of driving across the country to get there. But yeah, any opportunity to get out live. I mean, even the art stream that I'm doing on Wednesdays, like we just roll up random powers and draw a new character, but the fan base that we've got in that is there waiting for us before the show starts, leaving comments, and we'll stick around for 3 hours sometimes while we're drawing and joking around. Like several of those guys have come through and bought everything that I sell. And when they come back like the fourth time to buy the rest of the series, that's a fan for life that's going to keep coming back. So that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. We made it to hour 2 and a little bit beyond. So good job, guys. Thank you for everybody for filling in my role tonight. I really appreciate it. I look forward to not asking any questions today. I really appreciate that. But let's start with Chris. Where can we find you and your work, sir?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram at Chris_Brimmage_author, and then on TikTok, the opposite direction, author Chris Brimmage, and then at cbrimmage.com.
All right, cool. Tom, where can we find you and your work, sir?
BigDogInc.com. We'll be launching our 15-year anniversary for The Legend of Oz, Wicked West, starting in January.
All right, cool. Marcus?
When I get done with the site updates, you go right there to odysseycomics.com. Otherwise, follow us on social media just by typing that name in. You'll see us pop up.
Cool. Randy?
Well, you can find the Atlantean. Actually, the first 3 volumes are now available over at Barnes & Noble or any place that orders the Ingram book ordering system. They're available there. Criticalblast.com also offers them as well. Amazon has us all listed. There's a brilliant hardcover version of the Shadow Kingdom available over at Amazon. That's just fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. The other 3 volumes of the Atlantean, like I said, are also available over there. If you want to see more of me and my work, I podcast twice a week, Friday mornings at 5 a.m. Eastern time for Comics by Night, and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. for Sunday Funnies. And on those programs, it's me and a couple other great guys. One of them is Russ Leach, who also is drawing the Atlantean that I'm writing and adapting. We look at old sequential, not really necessarily old, but we look at great sequential art, stuff that has really influenced us. A lot of it's older stuff, 50s, 60s, 70s stuff, but it's all very classic material. We sit there and analyze and look it over and talk about that as well as many, many other things. Conversation tends to stray. all over the place. But if you want to reach me, my main platform is Facebook, a little bit of X, but always available on Facebook if you want to talk to me directly. And you can look next year at Atlantean 4, 5, and 6 is planned for next year, as well as Tales from the Aniverse collection, since it's been 40 years since Tales from the Aniverse is out. Susan and myself are putting together all of the Aniverse material for folks to do that. We'll probably campaign that. Might campaign it over at Kickstarter, but we'll definitely be campaigning at the same time over at fundmycomic.com. And that's where you can find all of the Atlanteans campaigns over there as well at fundmycomic.com. And we'll be campaigning Atlantean 4 over there probably at the towards the end of February, as soon as the book is done.
Cool. Mr. Fish, where can we find you in your work?
I'm Mr. Fish Comics on all social media. Go MrFish.com. I'll always take you to the latest project I'm working on, like late pledges for Alice Lost in Wonderland. And MrFishComics.com is where you can pick up all the back issues and everything else.
All right, cool. Jay?
UnstoppableComics.com. You find all of my social media links there. Sunday, you see me here with Calderon. Friday nights, you'll see me in Comic Book Streamland on YouTube.
Cool. You can find me on Kickstarter, Facebook, all these different places, but primarily on Kickstarter. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be back with the Oswald Chronicles, so we'll see how that rolls. And please, everyone, just remember, go check out the show notes, because in the show notes are links to all of these creators and all of their work. So click on those links, buy those books, because all these creators, they're all putting it out there for you. They're all making great books. So please buy those books. They're excellent creators, excellent books. So thank you so much, everyone. Just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night.
Later.
Take care.